Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're gonna have a look at AMD's other important business segment, which is their client business segment. And for those of you who don't follow this closely, their client business segment is their laptop and desktop CPU and APUs segment, which they sell, to either your DIY gaming persons, when you build your own computer for gaming, or mostly also the main part of that segment is actually from the laptops. The AMD sells these CPUs to Lenovo, to HP, to Dell. And this is why I think also it's very interesting company to invest in at the moment, because they are offering so many wide solutions and they're kind of quite equal in their different business segments. Whereas Nvidia is, if you look at Nvidia, it's essentially 95% AI revenue, AI data center. And I think there's an inherent risk to that if you kind of invest in a company right now where their revenue growth starts to slow down now. I mean, no one expects them to increase their revenue at the rate that they have over the past 12-18 months. At some point, it's going to slow down. And they essentially don't have anything else to compete with for their, revenue. But whereas AMD, I think, their client data segment after the bull market in the laptops in 2021 because of Corona, where everyone needed their own laptops, it kind of stagnated a bit. A year after that, you can see that the sharp drop there in 2023 and late 2022. But now it's kind of rebounding again. And I think it's going to be another one of these huge explosive laptop buy in, let's say, 2 years, where everyone is going to buy these new laptops that are offering new AI capability. You know that Microsoft mentioned their Microsoft Copilot, and that's going to be an interesting development. They're forcing Intel, AMD, Qualcomm to offer solutions that have a certain requirement in terms of AI capability. And that requirement is around 40 to 50 AI TOPS. It's a certain, let's say, calculations that these CPUs need to be able to do. And that calculation is kind of moved away from the actual CPU to another kind of chip that is solely focusing on AI calculations, which is, I think, called NPU. And anyway, so AMD is going to be ahead of Intel to meet that threshold. Now, to be honest, Intel's Meteor Lake and AMD's, Phoenix, which launched last year, already offered that, but they were not at the level that Intel requires for Copilot. But this new Lunar Lake from Intel, I think Lunar Lake is going to be launched later this year, which is also going to be a really competitive offering from Intel. But Intel's Lunar Lake is going to be launched, in September, I think. And AMD's Strix Point is going to be, it's going to be launched, I think this month, in July. And there are some rumors that AMD's Strix Point is going to be AMD's biggest laptop launch in history. So I think that's definitely going to be really, really important to why I do believe that their revenue in the client and laptop market is going to skyrocket, especially by end of this year. But we probably will see a lot of increase already in this next quarter, because you would say that Asus is already offering a lot of these laptops. You can see Asus is offering this new Asus ZenBook S16 with the AMD Strix Point CPU or APU. And this one is going to be a high volume sell, I think, in the premium end of the market segment. So this is an interesting time, and you can see that historically this market has kind of grown over, let's say, 1996 from 70 million units globally to now, around 250 to 350, depending on, is the cycle in this market, because it's kind of 4 or 5 year cycles with up and downs. And the last high-end cycle was in 2021 with the Corona demand. But I think we're past that now, and I think we're at the threshold of the new cycle, with the AI PCs. And Intel has traditionally dominated in that market. You can see this is the combined x86 market share, which Intel dominated, but AMD started to claw back a bit. And this is specifically focused on the mobile segment, but if you go back to the desktop, you see the same trend, Intel dominating and AMD clawing back as time goes on. And then this is the server, again, same trend. And then if we look at I think they have a graph for the combined, no they didn't, but if you focus on the mobile, which is this topic of this specific video, you can see that AMD is, sitting around 20%. I do think that because that they, following the market insiders, it kind of seems legitimate to believe that this is gonna be the largest launch from AMD ever in the laptops, and they're gonna until Intel's Lunar Lake's launch, AMD is gonna have huge advantage. You know, AMD is gonna fight. This is the expected Radeon 890M, which is this GPU segment of the new AMD Strix Point, and you can see on the GPU, so especially for video editing and gaming, that one is going to be much more better than, you know, the 780M, and also the Intel's previous Arc iGPU, which you can find in Meteor Lake. Now, you know, this is a rumored kind of level of performance, but I do think it's realistic because everything points, and AMD mentioned that they're going to be at least 30% better than this one, you know, the 780M. And you add 30% to this number, you could get you know, this kind of ballpark. Now you see that Intel is, you know, in between the two AMD offerings, and with Lunar Lake they mentioned that they're gonna be 50% faster in graphics performance, and you can see that this test that they show Intel, Lunar Lake is, you know, much better, like 35% better than Intel's Meteor Lake in terms of performance, because you can see that in this game they have 60 frames locked. So the same level of performance, but the Lunar Lake on the right side is consuming 16 to 17 watts, whereas the Meteor Lake one is consuming 25 watts. So Intel's Lunar Lake, which will launch in September, is going to be competitive, but I do believe that that competition is going to be mainly on the GPU part to compare to AMD Strix Point. Whereas on the CPU part, I think AMD is still gonna be ahead of Intel by quite a margin with Strix Point, because it's a 12 core kind of solution. It's gonna be quite a bit faster than Lunar Lake, I suspect, although Lunar Lake is gonna be very competitive, especially in the very low end, kind of low power consumption, like if you have extreme thin and light laptops. But yeah, I think this is good both for Intel and AMD, because both of these solutions is gonna be much better than the one that Snapdragon X Elite from Qualcomm. You can see this the level of performance that they have there. So they are not even competitive with AMD's last solution from 2023, and also Intel's, especially on the gaming side, because it's a lot of, you know, compatibility issue, because Snapdragon is not running on x86, so all the games needs to be ported from x86 to ARM. Going back again to AMD Strix Point, I think, you know, with this solution there's gonna be offering two SKUs, one with 12 core 24 threads, one with 10 and 20 threads. They're gonna offer the same kind of NPU AI performance, and then there's gonna be a bit difference in, you know, the terms of GPU. But if you follow the biggest one, the AI9 HX 3070, I think this gonna, you know, raise the bar on the thin and light CPU performance, so it's very good for video editing. The GPU performance will be the best on the planet until Lunar Lake comes, and it's not 100% sure that Lunar Lake will take the crown from Strix Point by late this year, Q3. It's possible that AMD still will be faster on gaming. So yeah, I think, you know, it's a very competitive performance from AMD with the lineup they have now. They're gonna also, you know, if you look at the revenue segment, so this is the second line there, client and CPU and APU. I do believe also, which in this segment, you're gonna have also the desktop with Zen 5, which launched already and is gonna be on the sales in a couple of weeks. So if you consider all of that, you know, the AMD laptop and desktop market is gonna be quite competitive going onwards now. I think like this 1.4 billion is gonna increase. I do believe, like, considering everything, because this is rumored to be the biggest launch of AMD ever, and with Zen 5, maybe I'm way too let's say conservative on this 1500 million. Maybe I should go actually closer to, let's say, 2 billion. It's difficult to say, but playing with the numbers a bit, I do think AMD will beat their guidance that they gave on the, you know, if you go back to the earnings, you can see that if you scroll down to the Q2 guidance, I think that was around 5.7. Yeah, they're guiding for 5.7 billion plus minus 300 million, and I do think that this is gonna be beat most likely, and this is simply due to the fact that, you know, on the AI side, on the data center, they're gonna definitely beat Q1, I believe. And on the client, I also think they're gonna be Q1. then the embedded is gonna be maybe similar, and gaming might maybe go up down a bit. But those two first segments are the most important ones with the highest margin. But I do think AMD is gonna be able to beat that. Maybe not to 6.5 billion, but I do think 6 billion is definitely in play. And then, going onwards, I do believe that way above 2 billion by Q4 of this year already. And yeah, so AMD Strix Point is gonna be very important. This is a highly competitive product, and if we look at as well, one of the important points here to make is how comparable is that Strix Point GPU compared to, let's say, NVIDIA's RTX solutions. And you can see here that AMD's 890M here, the purple bar with 4200 points, is very close to NVIDIA's 3050, which is a dedicated laptop GPU, very popular on the systems right now in Lenovo, in HP. And I think, this is where I mentioned previously in my videos that I do believe that NVIDIA is gonna lose a bit of market share on their laptop offerings, which is quite important to them, at least historically. Now with the AI, they basically don't care about gaming GPUs. But if you forget AI and you look at NVIDIA's revenue from laptops, I think that segment is under threat from both AMD, Intel and Qualcomm. Because a lot of laptops are not going to be in need of NVIDIA, 4050s, 4060s, 3050s, and next generation as well. Because that kind of level of performance will be basically met with AMD's, Strix Point. And we haven't mentioned again Strix Halo. The next one is the Strix Halo. Next year is going to be another 4 cores. So it's going to be, 16 Zen 5 cores. And it's going to be, maybe, I think 2.5 times amount of compute units or shaders compared to the Strix Point. So Strix Halo will have a GPU that is at the bare minimum twice as much faster than the Radeon 890M. And if you take this number times 2, I think we're gonna be comfortably in the 4050 and 4060 performance level already by early next year. And that's where I think AMD's revenue should explode, because why should you, if you are Lenovo, why should you spend a lot of money on NVIDIA 4060 where you can buy a similar performance from AMD in, let's say, their what could be Radeon 990M, and that's gonna have a 16 core CPU. It's gonna have an inbuilt equivalent to RTX 4060. It's gonna be more efficient, and it's gonna be cheaper for Lenovo to include in the laptops. And not only that, it's gonna take up less space. It's gonna be less part, less engineering. So it, the same kind of mindset that Elon Musk has. The best part is the no part. So the less components you have there, the less aftermarket, the less things that can go wrong. So the less complexity. So I do think this is where the market is gonna go. And even it's not only from AMD, and Lunar Lake is gonna be impressive. And after Lunar Lake, they're gonna have Nova Lake and Panther Lake. It's gonna be probably by next year. It's gonna be another 50 to 60 to 80% increase in graphics performance. And the same goes for AMD. This 890M by late next year is gonna be not only from the Strix Halo, which is a very high-end product for laptops, but even the yearly cadence improvement for 890M will probably offer most likely 20-30% above this level again. So I think NVIDIA's laptop GPUs are gonna sell less and less from now onwards. But yeah, so that's why, to conclude this video, I do think like AMD is in a really good position, not only on data center revenue, but also on the client. So that's the main 2 different segments, and for them also the gaming GPU and gaming console is also very important. We know that AMD is guiding for embedded revenue to kind of rebound by late this year. The gaming one is a bit more difficult to say. This is solely the GPUs for not for the laptops, but essentially it's more for like your DIY market, so when you build your own personal computer and for gaming. In this market, I do think and also PlayStation and Xbox, there's rumors of PlayStation 5 Pro, so I do think maybe this one rebounds at the latest within 1 year. So that's still not too bad, because the client segment and the data center segment is very important. But also one last segment that I think, there are rumors that AMD will enter the race for ARMs, and offering maybe laptop solutions for ARM. We know that previously there's been rumors of AMD kind of engaging with Nintendo for the new Nintendo Switch successor. Rumors are that AMD just barely lost that. But you know, if even if the rumors are true that AMD kind of bid for that Nintendo Switch, although they lost it to Nvidia, one very important point and takeaway is that, you know, the fact that they even were thinking of offering a solution to Nintendo, and Nintendo only accepts ARM as far as I'm aware, so not x86. This should lead to the point that, you know, it looks like beneath the waves that AMD is definitely working on some sort of ARM solution, because I do think they see the danger that despite their solutions being so good, both Intel and AMD are in the danger of, you know, Snapdragon X Elite in the future. Maybe not this year, you know, or next year, but at some point, you know, a lot of other players are gonna kind of enter into the race with ARM. And I do think that if you go back to Wikipedia and look at the, you know, worldwide PC sales, I think a lot of percentage of this will go from x86 to ARM at some point down the road. And that's, you know, if you're Intel and AMD, you need to be aware of that. And that's why I do think there's some truth to the rumors that at least AMD is looking at ARM as a solution. So I'm not at all worried for AMD. I think like if they see the need for ARM, they're gonna definitely offer solutions on the on the laptop market for ARM. And that's gonna, you know, that's gonna just strengthen the case. So going back here, I think, you know, maybe 2 years from now, I think AMD will gonna have at the bare minimum 2 billion, 2.5 billion of revenue in client. And that's gonna be a run rate of around 8 to 10 billion in addition to, you know, the stuff that we discussed in our previous videos for AMD's data center. But this is just to give you an idea that, you know, you're not only investing in AMD as data center company, as AI GPU, you know, there's this, I like this business because they're so competitive. You know, they have the best embedded segment on the market with the Xilinx purchase that they did. There's no discussion about this. Xilinx offers the best FPGAs out there. They offer the best, you know, servers in terms of general purpose CPU servers, although Intel is gonna gain back their competitive advantage as well going forwards. And then, you know, client AMD is very competitive, gaming a bit less so, but combining everything, I think AMD is, you know, I'm very happy with AMD. And so yeah, thank you for watching, and please like the video, and yeah, see you in the next one.